Okay, so yesterday we were studying about conservation of momentum. Keep your audio off. Okay, conservation of momentum, which is the total momentum will remain conserved. Okay, the total momentum remains conserved if no external forces acting on the system. No external force acting on the system, the total momentum remains conserved. That is, the total momentum is constant. Okay, that is the momentum before interaction is equal to the momentum after interaction. Okay, like one example we have studied. In an isolated system, there are two bodies of different masses, m1 and m2, moving initially with some velocities, u1 and u2. Okay, so when they collide, after collision, they move with some different velocities. So during collision, they are exerting force on each other. According to Newton's third law, these forces are equal and opposite. That is, F1 vector is equal to minus F2 vector. Okay, and F1 vector, we have written it as rate of change of linear momentum. The same way, F2 delta P2 upon delta T. Okay, this way we get the equation as m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Okay, m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is the momentum of the two bodies before collision. Okay, and m1 v1 plus m2 v2, it is the momentum after collision. So what do we observe? That is, the total momentum of the two bodies before collision is equal to the total momentum after collision. That is, the total momentum remains conserved. Okay, now this equation which we have derived, m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Okay, in this case we have considered that both the bodies are initially moving in the same direction. m1 u1, m2 u2 both moving. Okay, now suppose m1 is moving in this direction, which collides with another body moving along this direction. Okay, now according to the sign convention, towards left we take it to be negative. So in such a case, u2 will be taken as negative, m1 u1 minus m2 u2. Why? Because m1 u1 plus m2 u2 will be taken as negative. Okay, so towards left it will be taken as negative. And after collision also, whatever is given, if it is towards right, you will take that velocity to be positive. Towards left, you will take it to be negative. Okay, so this equation we have derived when both the bodies are moving towards right with the initial velocities u1 and u2, and after collision also they were moving in the same direction. Okay, so v1 v2 both we are taken to be positive. Okay, if any one of the velocity is towards left, you will consider that velocity to be negative, and accordingly the equation will change. Okay, now write the second example. Okay, second example, conservation of momentum. Okay, this conservation of momentum, we can derive it from the Newton's third law. Like yesterday, starting from the Newton's third law, we derived the momentum conservation for the two bodies, for the two collisions of the bodies. Okay, so wherever Newton's third law is applicable, their conservation of momentum is also there. Okay, so any example of Newton's third law, the conservation of momentum will be valid over there. Okay, now next example, write down one example we have discussed yesterday. Second example, recoil velocity of a gun. Okay, now let's find out recoil velocity of a gun. Okay, when a bullet is fired from a gun, the bullet moves in the forward direction. That is, there is some momentum of the bullet in the forward direction, and the gun is pushed in the backward direction. The velocity with which it is pushed in the backward direction, that velocity we call it as recoil velocity. Okay, so recoiling of gun means whenever the bullet is fired from the gun will be pushed in the backward direction, which we call it as the recoiling of the gun, and the velocity with which it moves in the backward direction, the gun recoils in the backward direction, that velocity is called as the recoil velocity of the gun. So write down, when a bullet is fired from a gun, when a bullet is fired from a gun the bullet moves in the forward direction. The bullet moves in the forward direction. Whereas the gun is pushed in the backward direction. The gun is pushed in the backward direction, called as recoil of the gun. Called as recoil of the gun. Okay, now let's see what is the momentum before firing. Momentum before firing. Now there are only two objects in this system, in this isolated system. One is the bullet and the other is the gun. Before firing, the bullet as well as the gun both are at rest. Okay, so the bullet is not moving and the gun is also not pushed in the backward direction. So momentum before firing is 0. Why? Because the bullet, the velocity of the bullet, the velocity of the gun is 0. So the momentum before firing is 0. Okay, now let's find out the momentum after firing. Momentum after firing. Okay, it will be the momentum of the bullet plus the momentum of the gun. Momentum of the bullet, if mass of the bullet is m, you can write the subscript to be b, and the velocity of the bullet is vb. Okay, so this is the momentum of the bullet plus the momentum of the gun. Let capital Mg is the mass of the gun and capital Vg is the velocity of the gun. Okay, so the total momentum of the two bodies after firing is momentum of the bullet plus the momentum of the gun. Now according to the principle of conservation of momentum, okay, according to conservation of momentum, the momentum before firing should be equal to momentum after firing. Momentum before firing should be equal to momentum after firing. Okay, now what is the momentum before firing? 0. Momentum after firing is momentum of the bullet plus the momentum of the gun. So from here you can find out the recoil velocity of the gun. Recoil velocity of the gun is minus of mv vb upon. Okay, so this expression gives the recoil velocity of the gun, Vg. So note it down and then you may write down Vg is the recoil velocity of the gun. Okay, so we have used the conservation of momentum. Conservation of momentum states that the momentum before firing should be equal to the momentum after firing. Before firing, the bullet as well as the gun both are at rest. So the total momentum before firing is 0 and the total momentum after firing will be the momentum of the bullet plus the momentum of the gun. Okay, so here we get the expression of recoil velocity which is given as minus mv vb upon mg. Okay, so write down Vg is the recoil velocity of the gun. Vg is the recoil velocity of the gun. Okay, now here, what is this negative sign indicating? This Vg is a vector quantity, Vb is a vector quantity. That is, the direction of Vg is opposite to the direction of Vb. If the bullet moves in the forward direction, the gun will be pushed in the backward direction. So this shows that, what is this negative sign indicating? It is indicating that the velocity of the gun will be opposite to the velocity of the bullet. So write down from the above expression, first point, negative sign indicates that Vg, that is the recoil velocity, Vg is in the opposite direction of Vb. Vg vector is in the opposite direction of Vb vector. That is the velocity of the gun is opposite to that of the velocity of bullet. Velocity of gun is opposite means in the opposite direction, opposite to the velocity of the bullet. Okay, so what is this negative sign indicating? The gun will be pushed opposite to the direction in whichever direction the bullet moves. Okay, now second point, the person who is firing holds the gun on his shoulders. Okay, so he is feeling that recoil velocity. That recoil velocity is felt by him. So this recoil velocity should be less. Okay, because the person who is holding the gun feels that recoil velocity. Okay, so this recoil velocity to be less, what should be there? Mass of the gun should be more. That is, the gun should be heavy. Okay, otherwise the person who is feeling the recoil velocity, he will feel that velocity. So if the recoil velocity is more, the person will also be pushed in the backward direction. So for less recoil velocity, the gun should be heavy. So write the second point. The recoil velocity should be less. The recoil velocity should be less because the person holding the gun, feels this velocity. Because the person holding the gun feels this velocity. Write down, for recoil velocity to be less, mass of the gun should be more. Okay, mg should be more, mass of the gun should be more. That is the gun should be heavy. The gun should be heavy. One more example here we'll consider. Okay, explosion of a bomb. Okay, before explosion, what is the momentum? It is at rest. So before explosion, the momentum is 0. The momentum of the bomb before explosion is 0. Okay, now let after explosion, it breaks up into a number of fragments. That is, it breaks up into a number of pieces. Okay, let first piece of mass m1 moves along this direction v1. Another piece a little heavier m2, let it moves along this direction. A small mass, let it move. Okay, they will break up in such a way and move along these directions such that the total momentum should be equal to 0. That is, m1 v1 vector plus m2 v2 plus m3 v3 should be equal to 0. So it will break up in such a way that the total momentum after explosion Momentum after explosion should also be equal to 0. Let it breaks up into two fragments. Okay, now let us consider that it breaks up into two fragments of masses m1 and m2. The momentum, the sum of the momentum of these two fragments should be equal to 0. Okay, that is, okay, instead if it breaks up into a number of pieces, m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus m3 v3 and so on should be equal to 0. That is, the vector sum of the momenta of all these pieces should be equal to 0. Okay, now let us consider it as broken only into two pieces of masses m1 and m2. Now let's see in which direction will these two pieces move. m1 suppose moves with a velocity v1 along this direction. The other piece m2, which is lighter than this, will move in the opposite direction with a greater velocity. Okay, the two pieces will move in the opposite direction, so that the m1 v1 plus m2 v2, the sum of their momenta should be equal to 0. So if it explodes into two pieces, then the two pieces will move in the opposite direction. So the momentum before explosion should be equal to momentum after explosion. Okay, according to conservation of momentum, the momentum before explosion should be equal to momentum after explosion. Okay, momentum before explosion is 0. It is at rest. Let it breaks up into two pieces, m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So from here, m1 v1 vector is equal to minus m. Oh, audio off, everyone. Keep your audio off. Okay, so m1 v1 vector should be equal to, what is this negative sign indicating? That v1 and v2 are in the opposite direction. That is, the two pieces will move in the opposite direction to conserve the momentum. Okay, this is for an explosion of a bomb. The same way, if a heavy nucleus disintegrates into two parts, okay, a heavy nucleus which is unstable, it will disintegrate into two parts, two or three parts. Let it disintegrates into two parts. The two parts will move in the opposite direction. Okay, note it down as such, and then you will write two lines along with it. Hurry up, note down. Okay, then write down. Okay, written. Okay, then write down, if the bomb explodes into two pieces, if the bomb explodes into two pieces, these two pieces will move in the opposite direction. These two pieces will move in the opposite direction to conserve the momentum. To conserve the momentum. Okay, the same way, if a heavy nucleus is breaking into two fragments, these two fragments will move in the opposite direction, and the one which is lighter, that is of less mass, will move with a greater velocity. Okay, the heavier one will move with less velocity, whereas the lighter mass will move with a greater velocity. Okay, the same way, when a person jumps out of a boat, what happens? The boat is pushed in the backward direction again to conserve the momentum. The momentum of the person who is jumping out of the boat is in the forward direction. So in order to conserve that momentum, the boat will be pushed in the backward direction. So whatever are the examples of Newton's third law, the same will be the examples of conservation of momentum. So here 3 examples we have studied, more than enough. Okay, now the next topic is friction. Okay, friction, as you know, any object which is in contact with the other surface and tends to move on the other surface. An opposing force is developed, which we call it as the frictional force. Okay, so whenever an object tends to move on the other surface, the opposing force developed, we call it as the frictional force. Okay, now this frictional force is depending upon the smoothness or the roughness of the surface. Okay, any object, suppose a ball you have kicked on a smooth floor. Now, according to Newton's first law, this ball should keep on moving with the same constant velocity. Okay, but practically it doesn't happen. Why? Because some opposing force is acting between the floor and the ball, which makes the ball to come to rest. Otherwise, if there is no friction, okay, which is practically not possible. Okay, theoretically we can study, if there is no friction, once a ball kicked, it will start moving with a constant velocity and will keep on moving forever if no opposing force is there. Okay, not only the frictional force, the air resistance also opposes it. If all the opposing forces are reduced to zero, it will keep on moving. So a ball which is kicked on a smooth floor also, it will come to rest after some time because of this opposing force, which we call it as the frictional force. Okay, now this frictional force is of 3 types: static friction, limiting friction, and kinetic friction. Okay, so only write the definition of the frictional force, then we'll continue this friction after the exams. Okay, so write only the definition, write down friction. Write the heading friction, write down when one body tends to move over the other surface, one body tends to move over the other surface, an opposing force comes into play, an opposing force comes into play, called as frictional force, called as frictional force. Write down it acts in the opposite direction of motion. It acts in the opposite direction of motion. Opposite direction of motion means opposite direction of applied force. In the opposite direction of motion, and is tangential to the two surfaces in contact, and is tangential to the two surfaces in contact. Okay, let a block is kept on a table and let the force is applied along this direction. So an opposing force will be developed in the opposite direction of the applied force, that is the motion will be along this direction, so opposite to the motion, and it will be tangential to the two surfaces in contact. Okay, it will not act from the center of the body, it will act tangential to the two surfaces in contact, and this force we call it as the frictional force. So it is acting tangential to the two surfaces in contact, opposite to the direction of the applied force. Okay, write down it is of 3 types: It is of three types: static friction, limiting friction, and kinetic friction. Kinetic, or it is also called as dynamic, kinetic or dynamic friction. Okay, three types: static, limiting, and kinetic friction. Okay, static friction, though we are applying the force, okay, but this force is not sufficient to move the body. Okay, the force is applied, but this force is not sufficient to move the body along the direction of the applied force. Then the opposing force which is developed is called as the static friction. That is, the body is static only, the body is at rest. Okay, the body, actual motion of the body has not started. Then this opposing force, we call it as the static friction. Okay, keep on increasing, gradually increase this applied force. If the body still doesn't move, it means the static frictional force also increases by the same amount as the applied force. So that is why the static frictional force is also called as the self-adjusting force. It adjusts itself. We are gradually increasing the applied force, and the frictional force also increases by the same amount. Suppose 1 Newton, body hasn't moved. Okay, boy, because this force is not sufficient to move it. So the frictional force is 1 Newton only. That is why the body is at rest. 1.1 Newton, still it doesn't move. So what is the opposing force? 1.1 Newton only. 1.2 doesn't move. 1.3 Newton, it just slides on the surface. Then the opposing force that is called as the limiting frictional force, when the body just moves on the other surface. So limiting frictional force is the maximum value of the static frictional force. And once the body comes into motion, the opposing force becomes constant. Okay, once the body comes into motion, then the opposing force, we call it as kinetic or dynamic friction, which will be less than the limiting friction. Why? Because now the motion has started along this direction. It means this force should be greater. So the kinetic frictional force will be less than the limiting frictional force. Okay, so we'll continue after